So how goes your X-clouding?
It's all right.
Yeah.
My favorite part is how much it lags every second. It hurt my eyes. I was trying to play Vermintide, and like that game already
Reading
has
the UI?
it already has pretty like built-in motion blur that like you can't really do a whole lot about. I think it's just like the art style. It's just tough on like a phone. I got a pretty big screen.
The actual fidelity of it looked pretty good. When I was watching you play Halo, it looked good, but it was skipping. I brought up, I was like, there's like 40 people in this house right now. Maybe too many are on the Wi-Fi, and you're like, no, it was like this before.
Yeah,
everyone came
graphically,
over,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a decent phone, it'll show up like 100%.
Yeah, it definitely looks sharp, but
I played Halo on it a little bit.
I don't know if that's the ideal way to...
It's hard. I was telling Chris...
That clamp thing you got was cool.
The thing that's selling me more on xCloud than Stadia is just like...
Oh yeah, we'd be here all night if we're talking about Stadia's
If I was going
right
to have xCloud and have that controller set up Bluetooth to my phone, that would be for when like I'm away from a TV and it would be inconvenient for me. Mm-hmm. Like I was saying, I went home for Thanksgiving to my parents' house, and it's like I was just sitting there not doing anything for a while. I could have brought that with me and played a game, and it was fine for that. But it's like when I'm sitting right in front of my TV, obviously the Xbox is better than... But you have both options.
I'm sure there are... Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure there are games that lend itself much better to a service, because it's everything that's on Game Pass right now?
No.
It's not.
It's not. It's a complete... So like
it's a separate list.
Soul Calibur and Tekken are on there.
I played Tekken when I was showing Jason, and the input lag was
real noticeable in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, in a fighting game...
But the input lag wasn't bad for Halo or Devil May Cry or Vermintide. Like the input lag...
DMC5 was on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
the input lag wasn't bad. It's the streaming, which very well could be my phone or the Wi-Fi or who knows.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of factors kind of to test that out. I mean, so it's
but that's the whole point. So it's not like
that's true.
Yeah,
and it's still just for Android devices.
Yes.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah, suck it.
But it has a lot of potential.
Did you use Chris's phone or did you use the tablet?
I used Chris's phone, and then I used my roommate's old phone.
Okay. It does work on tablets, though, right? I wonder if maybe that fixes some of the problems.
At that point, you might as well just play on the fucking TV.
Well, yeah, the question becomes, like, if I'm in a hotel and they have their shitty Wi-Fi, how well does it work? Because the funny thing is, Stadia won't let you play on your data plan.
Wait, really?
xCloud will.
Because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So
stream a game 900 gigabytes into your plan later.
I wonder how well it works on like LTE.
How much data does streaming 4K use?
20 gigabytes an hour.
My plan's about to reset. We could use my rollover data to see how good it looks without my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I think I'm on unlimited data now.
Yeah.
It's using a lot with work and everything.
But yeah, there's a lot of promise to it in being supplemental to the Xbox, not...
Yeah, it's a compliment.
Because it's like it's weird, Stadia's whole pitch...
Is that it's its own platform.
Platform, which is cool, because then they're like, you're using our hardware, and it's like, yeah, but your hardware doesn't work well when my internet sucks, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said earlier. I was like, what is it? You can have all the fucking best computers and hardware in the world. It'll make a shit of difference if I can't get the game to me.
That's why I thought lobbyists would sort of...
Turns out if you text a game to somebody's phone, it doesn't run that well. So, what are you going to do?
When does xCloud fully roll out, or they've not announced yet?
I think it rolls out with Scarlet.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be in beta until end of next year.
The Xbox 2, which will become to be known
TOO.
soon. Yeah.
And when does Stadia have their full rollout? It just says next
weeks
year.
Ago.
Well, no, that's still
February.
The beta test. Okay.
February 2020.
All right.
Which from the last thing I read about it is stupid. They should be rolling it out 2 years from now.
Yeah, I think they jumped the gun.
The Founders Edition came with 3 free months of that Stadia Pro. It launches fully when that ends for the people that got it on launch day. Yeah.
Well, I hope they're all happy.
I don't. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So in July of last year, our show covered the great PSN hack of 2011. The outage, of course, being the result of a major denial-of-service attack. However, that was just for PlayStation services. Folks that were trying to access their online features for their PS3s, PSPs, Curiosity, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Curiosity. But what if instead of just Sony users or gamers being affected by an incident, that it was practically everyone in the entire country or even world that felt the impact of this same cybercrime? Mm-hmm. What if instead of not being able to play the new SOCOM, you couldn't even stream a movie or listen to your saved playlist or buy something from the internet's biggest online retailer? check your credit card info, maybe look up the news to see what the fuck is exactly going on, to no avail. Well, in 2016, that essentially happened, and the reason how is likely not at all what you would think. I'm Randall Beatrice, here as always with Austin Blakesley and Chris Anantuano.
Hey.
It's cold and rainy outside, so what do you all say we get warm and dry with another episode of Hot Button?
Oh, Hot Button, I get it.
and
it's cold out, yeah.
What if whoever's watching this, it's in the summertime?
Well, I don't know. You're all cozy wrapped in a blanket right now.
I am.
So.
I'm fucking. But I might have some low energy today. We had a party last night for our holidays.
We all woke up around noon.
Yeah. It's been
So rather than have me spoil our center of the story right away, Austin, what do you say we just hop on into it?
Yep.
Get right in.
I will say, to preface this is probably the least video game related story we're probably going to cover in a while.
But arguably the biggest game in the universe is kind of at the crux of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think is super interesting. I'm actually, before you start, I am kind of surprised how few people, I think, really know this full story.
I mean...
And despite how many were affected,
you might, when I get to it, you might remember the incident happening. You probably just don't know why.
Yes, after the fact, but in the moment, I did not really know.
Yeah.
That was a weird day.
Yes. So, on September 19th, 2016, a French company by the name of OVH was hit with a DDoS attack, also known as Distributed Denial of Service. This attack was said to be 100 times larger than your average DDoS attack. Before the problem was figured out, the same network was used to perform another attack on a company called DYN. I think it's Dyn, but I'm not sure. They're owned by Oracle. Big company.
Yeah, I know Oracle in it.
Mm-hmm.
Datadyne. It's one of the bad guys from Perfect Dark.
Cyberdyne? Oh, yeah, it was Datadyne. Yeah.
So what's Cyberdyne from?
Terminator.
Right. This company provides DNS services for some of the internet's biggest websites. Do you know what DNS is?
That came before or after the 2DS?
That's the NDS, not the DNS.
Oh, okay.
DNS stands for Domain Name Service.
Yes.
Basically, when you type google.com into your browser, it gets sent to a server.
I don't get to. They turned the browser into a search engine because they own the world.
Yeah.
That's what you see every time you have a problem connecting to it. Yeah.
The URL is sent to a server. That server finds the IP address of the server that website is hosted at and then sends you to it.
Yeah.
So if that goes down, then some of the internet's biggest websites go down with it, including Netflix, Reddit, Twitter, Amazon, Wiki, all the wikis, Spotify, as well as some service providers like Comcast, Verizon, and DirecTV.
Nobody big.
News sites like CNN, BBC, Fox News, The Wall Street Journal, and some financial companies like Visa and PayPal, as well as game services like our sound guy's favorite Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, no.
Second Life, Origin, RuneScape, as well as the PSN and Xbox Live.
So I'm going to take a bet now that 100% of the people that are listening felt this in some way.
If you were using the internet at around 4 p.m. in October of 2016 on one day, then yes.
It was a weekday.
I don't know what day of the week it was. And that's not the full list of sites, by the way.
No,
that was a cherry-picked list of big sites. There are a lot smaller sites.
That are the biggest. All of those are the biggest sites on the internet.
Yeah.
I remember being very confused.
That list is a lot larger than that.
I was checking the weather when I noticed that something was wrong.
Yes, weather.com also.
Yeah.
But this was the biggest attack of its kind to ever happen.
Yes.
And it took the internet down for about 2 whole hours.
That record has yet to be broken.
And ended up costing all of those businesses so much money that it has never been reported how much, because it might actually destroy the economy if they report how much money they lost.
There were some loose kind of theories floating around about how much Amazon lost just in direct revenue from purchases.
From being down for 2 hours.
Yeah, and it was absurd.
Yes.
It was in the several billions or something. 2 hours.
Not to mention the fact that Amazon also hosts a lot of these websites through AWS.
That is true.
But why was this attack performed? Was it someone trying to bring capitalism down?
Yeah.
Was it someone trying to disrupt the flow of information in the crucial lead up to the 2016 presidential election?
Yeah.
That was happening a month later?
Yeah.
And how did it get the tools to perform such an attack?
I'm going to go put my bets out now. All these big services, they're trying to fuck with the internet. It's got to be hackers, thinking big time hackers, like on an island and Javier Bardem's their leader. like that kind of hackers. That's right. He's the one, right, from Skyfall.
It's the 12-year-old next door.
That
was him in Skyfall.
You may think it's some sort of organized terrorist group, but what if I told you it was a bunch of Minecraft players?
Well, Chris was a Minecraft player.
Yeah.
So
this is
something
where
to tell us.
this is where your expertise might come in handy, Chris, because I personally, don't crucify me for this, but I personally do not like Minecraft.
That's all right.
I have never.
We always knew you were a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's fair. I
like Minecraft. I just never got super deep into it.
I have never played on a private server in Minecraft.
Yes.
So maybe.
That's
could go
the baddest of
into
ass
how
players.
they work.
That's what they do.
It's a pet. I don't
Have
know.
you ever paid for a server?
No, but I have hosted my own realm for a long time, and we used to play on a private server that was owned by a friend of ours.
Okay.
I think
me and
he
a couple
paid
of
for
my
it,
friends.
if I remember.
Who? Yes.
I'm thinking. Okay.
No, there was like a friend of mine. It's probably unrelated to what you're thinking.
Okay, I might be thinking of someone else.
Yeah, but
I knew
that
people that
he
paid
hosted
for
the
it.
server, so we didn't pay for it. But it was relatively cheap. But
Yeah.
I played Minecraft
So,
on split screen on the Xbox.
Minecraft.
I was about to say, me and that former
was
guest
fun.
Chelsea played Minecraft when it was just like,
In its infancy.
yeah, not even titled Minecraft, just like some whatever internet game.
It is wild to see how much that game evolved in like 10 years.
It's an interesting multiplayer experience because in order to play Minecraft multiplayer in the very beginning, like there were no servers being hosted by Mojang.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, they gave you the technology to host your own servers, but you can't just run a server. You have to host that server somewhere. And in order for a Minecraft server to be hosted, it has to be up 24/7, right?
Yeah. And something cool, just a little snippet from those early Minecraft servers. There's no way to describe this. Like, it's an odd experience that I've never been able to quite like put into words when I describe somebody. So why not try it now while we're recording?
Yeah, all right.
Those first servers were so you go get the concept of Minecraft. It's like if you don't, then like what the fuck even listen to this podcast for? No offense. I just Google it. Blocks. Every area,
interactive Legos.
Yeah, every space of the world is blocks. That includes air, whatever, etc. And the early worlds all had boundaries. Like I guess nowadays theoretically Minecraft's infinite. I think like a NASA computer tried to take it to the distance or something.
The game gets all fucked up and like crazy. Like
they can't like render the world at the same time. But
it's cool. It'll build the sky upside down.
They used to have boundaries. So like these early servers, because nobody knew how to build anything, there was no crafting yet. By the way, it was just blocks and you place them and remove them instantly.
What?
Yeah. So there was no crafting. It was just place a block or destroy a block instantly.
Yeah, that was like the beta of Minecraft.
Yeah, and there were all these different kinds of blocks, maybe like 30, 40 different kinds of blocks, and people didn't know what to do or anything. So servers, like especially free ones that were just open, people would just get on and you'd go like, I'll just put some blocks down and hop on top of them and keep pressing them until I get higher and higher just to
break through to the ceiling.
Just to see how high the map is. And then eventually you'd reach the top and then you'd be like, oh, cool, I got this tower. And then you jump off because there's no fall damage or death or anything. And then you land and you're like, all right, what do I do? Okay, picture that, but that happened millions of times. So early servers were worlds, I called them like block worlds, where people would literally exist in these worlds where they were carving out like picture if somebody did that and the entire map was like a solid block and people were carving out the inside, building stuff inside of it. So we'd have servers where like we would like, I remember there's one, we removed the ceiling for a big chunk of it so we could see like the sky and the sun and like the clouds in the game. And we had like a whole like city built and we cleared out a big open space. We had a town, we had a bunch of people with us. I was the mayor. It was a weird time.
Does that still exist in some way?
No, absolutely not. And this is where griefers became a thing. These are people, because you could just destroy blocks.
You could, yeah.
Who would just come and destroy everything you made.
Oh, man.
No matter how much time you spent working on it. So you also had to like hide your city. So like the bigger you got, the more risk you had of it being destroyed, but you wanted to build cool big things.
I like this Minecraft Wild West, like before
it was, and it had so many layers. People built on like and it was like a jungle. Picture a jungle of different blocks of different colors and sizes everywhere, and you were like to navigate it. And I remember one time our town got destroyed, and one of the guys who was like part of our town was like, "Come with me." And he had dug an entire new city underneath that was hidden from the other one. And then eventually everybody on our server moved a layer down from where the griefers would hang out.
Closer to the center of the earth.
Yeah.
Eventually you break into the Stanley Parable.
Well, we did. We already built like right above like the bedrock level, and that's where like our whole area was, because it was like 20 or 30 blocks of buffer room, and then the open area, and then the roof was just random. It's no way to describe it. I have to draw it for you or something. Like, it's just like absurd. If anybody was playing Minecraft in these days, you remember, because that shit was awesome.
That's pretty rad, actually.
Yeah, so you connect to multiplayer in these early days of Minecraft by basically just entering an IP address, right?
Yeah, that's like classic PC
these
games.
IP address had to be hosted somewhere, and there were hosting companies who built entire businesses around charging money to host these servers 24/7. Amazon AWS, I mentioned them earlier. That's a big one.
Yeah.
But you would charge money to host the server, and the cost would vary depending on the size of the world and the amount of players that could connect to it. And you host it 24/7, so anybody can jump in whenever they want, and they can hop out whenever they want.
By 2016, by the way, all that stuff I was talking about was long fucking.
Yeah, it was out.
Yeah.
2016 is like, you're talking like.
This is late Minecraft, yeah.
Yeah. At this point, it was already available on every platform as well.
Yeah.
You're essentially hosting like a mini MMO server for you and your friends. And I think the costs for some of these servers were around about the price of like a
monthly.
Like a $15 a month, like WoW or something like that.
Having an event server.
This became more than just a hobby for some people. Some people formed entire businesses around just hosting these. As the bigger Minecraft became, the bigger these companies that hosted servers became, and with all the money that came in from that,
that makes sense. Minecraft was literally the biggest game.
Came competition.
Oh, like with other sites also trying to make money. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit, talk about something called a DDoS attack, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Stands for Distributed Denial of Service Attack.
I think you mentioned this a little bit in our 2011 PSN.
Yes. Now, people would often find competing server hosting things for Minecraft, and they would DDoS these Minecraft hosts in order to make servers inaccessible or to make them run slower, which would cause players to be like, I'm paying $15 a month for this shit.
Yeah.
I'm done.
And then
someone else would come in and be like, by the way...
Inception level corporate espionage.
Yeah. By the way, our server doesn't do that. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then they jump ship. Now, if you don't know what a DDoS is, it is essentially when you log into a website of any kind, you are hitting a server. And that server, you give it your information, name and password usually. It pings the server. The server says, yep, that checks out. That person is registered. And then it comes back and then unlocks it and lets you into the website. But if that server is down, then even if you have the right name and password, you might not be able to log in.
Yeah.
People create what are known as botnets, which is a series of infected computers around the world whose whole point is when the time comes and somebody pulls the trigger, those computers will use some of their power to try to log into a server all at once. Mm-hmm. And if the server is overwhelmed with requests to log in, the server goes boom.
Yeah.
And then nobody can log in. This has been used to take down a lot of companies. Like Randy mentioned, we covered one, the Sony PSN hack.
Yes.
Although that was eventually taken down later because they were worried people were stealing information.
That was them themselves.
Bigger. But, I mean, DDoS attacks happen quite frequently. I mean, there's cases in gaming, like, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but there was one case where, like, somebody was mad at Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah, I remember
and they took down the PSN and Xbox Live on Christmas Day because they're like, I don't want new kids playing
I remember, and I remember who did
that.
it too, but I don't think we should give him any credit.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I remember who did it too. One of those stupid groups of teenagers with stupid names.
There goes Hot Button.
Biting the hand that feeds us.
Because these DDoS attacks became so popular for this competition between Minecraft servers, another industry popped up around them, Minecraft DDoS mitigation, which is basically, there are whole entire businesses out there for professional services that, like, they say, if you get a bunch of data all at once, if you get a bunch of users logging in at once, we will kick some of them out before they can have a chance to ping the server.
Some interesting protection, I guess.
And that way, your site won't go down. And this is another big money thing. But again, this is for, like, Facebook, not really, like, people hosting private gaming servers, but Minecraft got so big that this became a thing.
How do you advertise that business? Like, what a weird...
This kind of halted the progress. There were a lot of very popular botnets in the world that people could, like, rent time with to use to do these attacks. But these mitigation services were very good at stopping these botnets. So this kind of slowed the whole war on people DDoSing each other's services, since these botnets were pretty amateur and lacked the power to take down, you could take down like somebody's like HostGator thing where they're hosting Minecraft servers, but you can't take down Oracle if they're providing the thing, or, whatever.
Amazon.
Yeah. So these large hosting companies stepped in to make some money and started mitigating DDoS. And this is where our main player of the story, Mirai, enters the game.
Mirai.
M-I-R-A-I. A new malware created for DDoSing had popped up, and it was known as Mirai. Now, have you guys ever heard the term IoT? Or I guess the abbreviation, acronym. IoT.
I've seen it.
Okay.
Does that count?
Yeah, sure. So IoT is called the Internet of Things.
All right.
And basically
That sounds stupid.
Something is labeled as an IoT device when it is made to be kind of automated, when it automatically communicates with the internet without need for user input, right?
Like an ATM.
More like a Ring doorbell or a smart fridge.
Okay,
or
so
like
stupid,
a smart TV.
Stupid crap. Yeah.
Some routers are labeled as IoT
Is it
devices.
just, like, for the most part, of just, like, collecting and sending data to
Yeah,
To
it's
a
not
server.
doing anything fancy, right?
some cars, probably?
Something that has permission to ping the internet without you telling it to, essentially. And I mean, cell phones and computers also do this.
That kind of describes everything that connects.
But
to
They
the
like-
do a
internet.
lot more than that.
If your computer is being used with malware on it to do some devious shit, and you're using your computer, you're usually able to know, but like nobody's going to know that their smart fridge
Not
is
if
being
you're
used to hack into
not if you're
anything.
55 years old. You
true.
won't know if
What
malware's.
if those webcams be watching?
So
And they've
Mirai-
seen me do a lot of jerking my fists as I slam the table from many a nights being frustrated playing Overwatch, and also masturbating
At the same
to
time?
Overwatch porn.
So this
Dual
Mirai
screen setup.
network was meant to scan the internet for these devices, these Internet of Things devices. Things like, I said, internet accessing cameras, routers, internet thermostats, baby monitors, smart fridges, basically anything that ran Linux on a back end and
good,
was
baby
meant
monitors.
to not really have much interaction from the user. Now, the malware would scan the internet for these devices.
What's Linux? You want to get into that right now?
No, I don't. It's like Windows, but not as good. Sorry to anybody who likes Linux.
There goes the other half of the
Yeah.
audience.
I'm just trying to alienate everybody. Now, the malware would download itself onto these devices, and then here's the apparently genius part of this thing, which I thought this would be self-explanatory, but it was programmed to know the default username and password of a bunch of different devices. And so if you didn't change the default username and password, which a lot of people don't, this thing would infect whatever device it was, and then it would go in there, it would delete any competing malware that was on your device so that it was the only thing that was able to use that device.
Badass.
And then it would install itself, and then it would establish a bunch of connections over certain ports for further spreading and attacking.
Great. That's
So
pretty
it-
nefarious.
So its creators released it into the wild, and it spread fast. In 20 hours, Mirai had infected around 65,000 IoT devices.
I mean, I assume you'll get into it, but what was the motivation? Did he just want to see what it would do, or?
I'll get into it.
Okay.
But,
Not that there always
Wait,
needs
you're
to be
saying
like.
wait, what do you mean these were connected and had access to certain usernames? Like, what could your smart fridge be logging into? What do you mean by that?
Administration service, like a router you can just use, right? But there's like a admin name and password to get into the settings of the thing if need be, like a
Okay,
debug menu or an
Okay,
administrator mode.
I see. Okay, I see. What
Yeah.
you're saying. Never mind. I get it.
And the network proceeded from that 65,000 to double in size every hour,
Holy shit!
eventually infecting around 600,000 devices.
That is some Skynet ass shit that we.
Now, this network was used for a number of attacks.
It all started with trains. Oh, roads. Let's build a road, they said. And all of a sudden, my Minecraft teens are trying to kill me.
Yeah. The first notable attack made by the Mirai network was on a service called OVH, which is an internet service provider in France. Now, here's where the kicker comes in. Most DDoS attacks, they overload the server using bandwidth, right? Servers only can handle a certain amount of incoming and outgoing bandwidth. Most DDoS attacks are responsible for around 10 to 20 gigabits per second of data flooding a server, and some of the more popular botnets of their day were able to handle up to 50 gigabits per second, which is, again, a lot for certain servers to handle, and it's enough for big mitigation services to kind of deflect.
Yeah.
Mirai's attack on OVH was estimated at around 1.1 terabits per second.
Holy
at its peak.
shit.
Boy.
So that's like exponentially larger
That's
than
like
anything
200
ever. So that was the
times.
idea, to turn this thing into a botnet, I guess,
Yes.
is what you're saying. Yeah.
So they got all these devices, and then all of these devices would log in all at once. And the more important thing about Mirai is that
Technically, you could log in from your smart baby monitor to a Minecraft server.
Yes. A lot of
Not to be able to do anything with it, but
Yeah. A lot of botnets were designed to attack a singular IP address.
Yeah.
Mirai was meant to be sent to a server, scan that server for any connected IPs, and take every IP with it along the way. And that's another important facet of this botnet versus other botnets.
and it could because of the amount of fucking
Yes.
shit it could flood.
Again, why target OVH? Right? I mean, they're a giant service provider. They're a cloud computing company. They're worth billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Do you want to take them down for capitalism? Are you a competing service? Well, no. It turns out OVH is also popular for a service called VAC, and no, not the Valve one. But this is a DDoS mitigation service that was very popular in the Minecraft community.
Yeah. According to this article I found, it said that they made a few $100,000 a month just from
Yeah.
like donations, I guess. Like it. Jeez.
Yep. Now, a very important character in our story who I'm going to introduce, a man by the name of Krebs, who has a website called Krebs on Security. He is an internet security expert.
Okay.
He's worked with some really big companies kind of as a consultant, but he has his own website, and the whole point is it's just a blog investigating these kind of attacks, you know. When new technology comes out, he investigates that
That's
kind of thing.
interesting. Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He ran an investigation on this OVH attack to kind of figure out, like, this is a big deal. Like, how did this come to be? Who created it? Blah, blah, blah. So, obviously, the next target was his website. His website was taken down for 4 whole days. He had his own DDoS mitigation service through Akamai, which people may recognize as the DDoS mitigation service also provided to League of Legends. However, Akamai quickly dropped him as they were unable to do anything, and the cost of trying to defend him was getting too great.
Fuck.
And as a hacker, I guess, when you're attacking the people who are trying to call you out, you're in for some shit.
Yeah, especially then, because now you've made
Yeah.
like an active effort to like silence somebody.
You got the guy who exposes who does this shit, and you
Yeah.
attacked him. So, how do you throw investigators off the scent?
Well, if you're a cartel, you just kill all the journalists.
Yeah, but what if let's say you're a bunch of sweaty guys at computers and you can't kill all the journalists?
Ooh. Now, do these programs, can they make the smart fridge move?
No.
Okay.
I would say a prank war, obviously.
No.
Oh.
So here's what you do. For those of you trying to get into the hacking game, you post your code, because
Okay.
up until now, every attack performed was performed by whoever wrote this botnet.
Okay, so this so
once the
someone else can
once the
weaponize
code-
it?
Once the code is out there, everybody can start using your botnet code and trying to make their own botnets, which makes it very hard for internet security experts to track who is doing what.
So this is essentially like a story
Covering
about
your tracks.
Yeah, because you wouldn't know where it was born.
And it should be mentioned that our mystery creators of Mirai are not responsible for the attack on Dyn, the one that took down the internet.
They were just responsible for creating the
They created the botnet, and then they released the code to cover their tracks, which let other people use it.
right.
Now, I have a quote here from an internet security expert who said they thought that they were creating a gun and they accidentally created the Manhattan Project. So they're essentially open sourcing a nuke.
Oh boy,
You're
giving the keys.
I think I
you're
saw
giving-
advice on
Yeah.
that.
You're giving the keys to the missiles to the entire internet, which is very bad. So who exactly is responsible for Mirai?
Was it somebody who watched The Joker in Dark Knight?
Yeah, you gotta go back
Well,
to 2016.
To that, we're going to default to the journalist I mentioned, Krebs. Now, again, like I said,
He made it, and then he attacked himself to cover
Inside
his
job.
tracks.
no, that would have been something else, but no. He got to digging because he was personally attacked, so now it's personal for him, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, duh.
Now, like I said, Mirai is not the first botnet to be created using the Internet of Things devices. But as they get more advanced, they get more powerful in their ability to do certain things. But a lot of the IoT botnets that had been used in the past had been used to take down Minecraft servers. Mm-hmm. Like I said. And one company that provided such protection against these Minecraft DDoS attacks was a company by the name of Proxy Pipe, who was hit with an attack by Mirai's predecessor, the botnet known as Qbot. And here's where we get into the fun hacker names. All of these attacks...
You tell me Proxy Pipe and Qbot? We are in
Those projected hacker characters.
Proxy Pipe was attacked because people were trying to show that they were not that good at mitigating stuff, I guess. And all of these attacks were performed by a group called LELDDOS. LELDDOS.
Man, okay, just a little rant, real quick.
Yeah, get on it.
I am very into crimes. Okay, commit them all you want. No,
Go on.
No.
Speaking to my chest as well.
I love the idea of like hackers fighting the power via computers, being today's activists. You know what I mean?
Hacktivists.
Yes, I love all of that. It's very cool. And fuck it, I'm even like a little bit into like just fucking with people sometimes if it's like, you know, worth it or if it's like harmless enough. But it's like, where did it come from with the whole like lolsec, loldos? Like, I don't like, dude, you have the opportunity here to become the cool fucking future we all desire. And it's like, none of you all look like Matthew Lillard from fucking hackers. Everybody, listen up, hackers of the world. Cool names, man.
Yeah.
Why isn't that called like the Cyber Fox Initiative?
Right?
Steel, Edge. That's not that good.
We'll workshop that one a little bit.
Yeah, when you look,
Just take some time on it, though. I
when
agree.
you think back to our EVE Online episode and the names that they were able to come up with.
Yeah, that was great.
Band of Brothers and all that shit.
Well, what was
the Red Swarm
Yeah,
Alliance.
yeah. That was great.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Loldos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loldos.
That's weak.
DDoS.
That could have been,
Anything else?
yeah, it could have been Red Saber Union. What am I, a fucking internet name generator right now?
Yeah.
Blue Gun Force.
Now,
I like color.
Weapon.
It's just
color.
color weapon and then like an organization. Yeah, it's just like we'll give you Chris's PayPal in the link
green,
for this.
Green Rocket Federation.
I'll give you this one free. The Orange Flail Confederacy. And that's it. Tweet your own hack group names in the format of color, weapon, organization, hashtag hot button.
The Mauve Taser. You used all the good names for the last one.
Coalition.
You already said coalition, an organization, and union.
No, you can keep using them.
Government.
Government, state.
Yeah.
What about the 001 FD5?
Decimal codes for colors. That'd still be cooler than LELDOS.
Yeah,
exactly.
Start using the Crayola, like macaroni and cheese and all that.
All right, that's getting tough.
But now that our group was discovered, at the same time, a company by the name of Protraf, Protraf, was courting customers away from Proxy Pipe. They were trying to say, keep getting DDoS. We're not getting DDoS. Why don't you come over here?
I see where this is going.
And our journalist, there were 2 employees that he found at Protraf. He was able to get a hold of one of them, who was a former employee by the name of Amar Zuberi. There were 2 other employees at Protraf that were, according to Zuberi, also members of LELDDOS. And those 2 employees were named Hosea White and Protraf CEO Paris Ja. Now, when this code was posted to the website that I forgot to mention earlier named hackforums.com, another great name, just so descriptive.
Nobody would ever go looking there for something nefarious.
The user that posted the code was named Anna Senpai. Anna Senpai was an active member of Hack Forums and was responsible for a lot of posts on there, so our journalists dug through their posting history. Mm-hmm. And they happened upon a coding resume that they had posted in order to become part of a certain group on hack forums. And in this resume, it said that they were very good with Java, C++, C, C#, all of the languages that we know, Python, the popular ones. But they were also very fluent in a language called Go, which is a no longer used esoteric programming language that was developed by Google in 2007 and then pretty quickly abandoned, as Google tends to do.
Yeah. Add that to the...
And its only widely adopted use after it was kind of let go was in 2016, and in one specific place, Mirai's source code. So our journalist looks into Hosea White and
being
Parrish.
like, this sure as fuck doesn't look like you sound like a coincidence, I guess.
Yeah. He looks into our LelDOS members, Hosea White and Parrish Jah, and he finds an interesting connection, which is that Parrish Jah lists on his LinkedIn that he is very fluent in Go. Yeah.
Dumbass.
Now, I'm going to speed this story up a little bit. There is an article on Krebs on Security. It's a blog post titled, Who is Anna Senpai? The Mirai Worm Author. Please check that out if you're interested in the whole story. There's a lot more to it than that. He recruits a whole bunch of people and has them make fake names and then communicate with this guy.
Cool.
And it's a whole long story that I won't get into because I would basically just be reading chat transcripts the entire time, which is, I don't like when people just read like, this guy said it.
Yeah. That's hard to do.
Check out that.
That's why we have a podcast, so we don't have to do that.
Check out this story if you're at all interested. But Krebs was able to pin a little bit more on Jah, and he dug up that he was involved in the Minecraft hosting business. And Jah is actually had a bunch of internet posts where he kind of came to the realization that there's more money to be made in protecting Minecraft servers from DDoS attacks than maintaining the server themselves.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier with the like donations.
Yeah.
And you could also make money through like usage fees, and you can sell in-game shit like tools and stuff. And, yeah. So
now,
that makes
what's
total
a better
sense.
way to acquire customers that need protection than to show them that the
Than
protection
extortion.
Than extortion. Exactly. Krebs makes a very, very apt comparison to the mob, right? Where it's like,
oh yeah, literally protection.
Yeah, like we'll offer you protection, but if you go with them, then you're gonna have to fight us because we're gonna try to take your protection down. You know, that kind of thing.
Oof.
Now, there's one more thing to pin on Jah. Krebs noticed that someone had been responsible for a series of DDoS attacks at Rutgers University.
Oh, like
and who,
Rutgers around us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In New Jersey.
Okay. Wow.
And where
Randall, computers can go anywhere, okay?
Yeah. And so we go
the
back.
internet?
So
Even Rutgers.
we go back to the LinkedIn page for Parrish Jah.
Oh,
where
man.
did he graduate? Rutgers University.
Is this Camden or New Brunswick? Do you know?
It's New Brunswick.
It's New Brunswick?
Yeah.
I just love like putting all the pieces. This is just the most like whodunit thing of.
Now, someone had doxed Rutgers Network while Jah was a student there, and the attack was blamed on a hacker from Turkey.
So he tried it on his.
And this dox came from a Pastebin account who posted all the information of this hacker from Turkey that had taken down Rutgers. But our journalist, again, digs a little deeper and finds out that this Pastebin account had also been used to pin another crime on one other person, a hacker forums user by the name of Lightspeed. L-I-T-E Speed.
Getting better.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Lightspeed, which we will find is the handle for Hosea White, the other former ProTrap employee.
Ooh.
So he blamed it on his own friend?
getting our crew.
or employee?
Yes. Now,
I like this.
we're gonna flash back. We're gonna flash back a little bit.
Okay.
It turns out Krebs wasn't the only one on the trail of these people.
So when was this unleashed on the schools network? Is this still in 2016 or
No, that was
this
like
was years prior?
I believe 2013
Oh,
was when it was.
2013. Man, I wonder if we still had some friends in school at the time who
Actually,
were
hold
attending
on.
there. I mean,
Oh, sorry, 2015.
okay.
Yeah, this guy is very young. But it turned out that Krebs was not the only one on the trail of these guys. Turns out the FBI was actually a little bit ahead of him. Obviously, they don't have a blog telling everybody what they're investigating, but they were a little bit ahead of him.
What's their
Because they're
handle?
also into extortion. That's why they don't have a blog.
Is it really the FBI, or is that just their cool name?
I was trying to think of a color that begins with F.
Dude, way ahead of you. Obviously, the Fuchsia Bullets International.
This Men in Black sequel sucks.
Oh, you mean the Maroon Injection Bureau?
And the
Brown Poison League.
The FBI has a lot of teams who are responsible for cyber crimes.
Yeah.
Who are investigating cyber crimes.
Now that's cool. See, the bad guys, which I mean the FBI, yes, they're also the bad guys. They came up with a cool name for their division.
It's true.
Yes. And what's interesting is that
They probably had more time to think about it.
a man by the name of Elliot Peterson was responsible for
Very uncool name.
for running a lot of these teams.
So that's what me and Chris are going to do this whole episode, just judge the names of everything.
He had recently moved back to his hometown of Anchorage, Alaska, to lead a very small 4-person team. But
That's how many people live there.
Yeah.
this becomes very important because here's the thing. Alaska is very sparsely populated. And
Yeah,
also,
that was my burn.
also requires the internet
Yeah.
because it's very cold there and people don't want to go outside and they got to talk to people. So they use the internet to do that.
Getting attacked by moose.
Watching the Rooskies.
And because of this, it is a very unique place to take on investigations of DDoS attacks.
I bet. Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of, if you were living in New York City and you're trying to find out whose computer was being used as a part of a botnet, you got millions of people to look through. But you're in Anchorage, Alaska, you got less people
Was
to look
it
through.
Phil or was it Don?
Quick, let's go to this one bar where they're all hanging out.
Yeah. Damn it was Mark, the only guy in town with a computer.
The squad,
It's like
I'm just kidding,
back in
Alaska.
time. Yeah, I know.
the squad was able to mine
My parents went there. It's like beautiful. Yeah.
because of data provided by the people that were DDoSed using the Mirai network. The squad was able to track down individual IPs of Mirai-infected IoT devices. They were able to narrow the list of IPs down to ones that existed in Alaska, and then they subpoenaed a local company, GCI, to provide names and addresses of people who owned these IPs and therefore owned these devices.
All right, what do we got on the list? All right, looks like we got a heater, an electric heater, an electric heater. All right, robotic snowblower.
They then
Sentient snowblower.
That's a Stephen King book, I think.
He did do Christine, and then was it Maximum Overdrive or something?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to think of other snow devices. I don't have anything to contribute to the bit. Yeah, they got the usernames, addresses, actual names of all of the customers who had these IPs, and were able to go to the customers and ask them if they could, I don't know, probably not ask them, probably just take their devices because it is the FBI. But
Yeah.
they were able to acquire some of these devices that had been infected with the Mirai botnet. Now, the thing about Mirai...
The FBI didn't get anywhere by asking for
is
permission.
that Mirai, because these Internet of Things devices are kind of meant to be never really turned off.
Yeah.
Your doorbell camera doesn't turn off. It's
Always
on all
be
the time.
listening.
Your fridge doesn't turn off. It's on all the time. Your router doesn't turn off. It's on all the time.
All right, now we're all going to go home and unplug all our shit.
So Mirai is able to install itself in the flash memory of your device. But if you turn off your device and turn it back on, Mirai's gone. However, Mirai is so good at scanning the internet that it only takes mere minutes for it to find your device again and reinstall itself.
Creepy.
So the FBI went to their offices in Anchorage, Alaska. They hooked up all of these devices that had been infected with Mirai, wiped it clean of Mirai, and then waited for them to be reinfected and scanned to see if anything would come in and infect the devices. Which, again, didn't take long.
No.
Matter of hours. Now, once Mirai was installed, the FBI was able to then trace these devices and the ports they were opening and the connections and the IPs they were connecting back to connect back to the main Mirai servers.
Smart.
From there, they got additional court orders to track down emails, cell phone numbers, and addresses associated with who owns this server. And the servers were owned by a French kid who had a very long internet history of talking about anime. Specifically, an anime named Mirai Nikki,
Ah!
with a character named Anna.
If you weren't such a weeb dork, you might have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
See, this is once again, naming conventions are really bad.
Yeah.
Turns
He
out
also ran a fan site.
Yeah.
this French kid
boy.
might not have been so French. That might have been a front. He might have actually been a guy from New Jersey.
Oh,
by
home
the
state
name-
represent.
A guy by the name of Paris Ja.
Ooh.
Yeah, this led the FBI to 3 suspects whose pictures hung on their wall for months and were dubbed the Cub Scout Pack. Their names are
All right, they were doing good with cybercrime division. They went downhill with that one.
their names, Paris Ja, Hosea White, and a new man who we've never met by the name of Dalton Norman.
Dalton Norman.
Now,
Names backwards, bro.
Now, after Krebs publicly exposed them, people had went and like, okay, well, let's find this Ja guy and get him arrested. And it turns out the FBI had already questioned him, and they already questioned his family. And he denied it. And his family said that they never saw him do anything like that, which I don't know how you would see a hacker doing their thing. But
I've never seen him sit on a computer for hours writing code.
I always thought he was playing solitaire.
But the FBI did say, when we find this guy, he's going down. So, let's say after the Krebs thing became public, a couple days later, at the advice of their lawyers, the 3 then pled guilty to the creation of the worm, some of the attacks, and the posting of the worm online, which also makes them partially responsible for all the other attacks committed. I don't have the exact number here, but I think the Mirai Botnet in the years between a Wired article, where I got a lot of my story from that I was going to mention at the end, but between the writing of that and the creation of Mirai, it was used something like 16,000 times.
Jeez.
But you can hold them responsible for everything in the DIN attack, essentially?
I mean, you created it, right?
I guess so.
If you make a dirty bomb and then sell it to terrorists, that's a crime.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you make a gun and the military buys it and uses it for war, you can't be charged with a crime.
No. You cannot.
Smell loopholes.
Now,
He should have sold it to the government. Then.
Yeah, exactly. Because they could have used it to DDoS Minecraft servers, and then, no heart,
Middle
no
East,
foul.
now,
Turns out, actually, I don't know if you knew this, that's how they called Osama bin Laden. They DDoSed, the government DDoSed his Minecraft server.
Really?
Yeah. And he was like, "It's bullshit." And then he threw it down and he went outside and they shot him.
I
No,
just pictured the end of Zero Dark
I-
30, but he's playing Minecraft. Like the night vision just.
They consumed it.
Sorry, Austin, what were you talking about?
I don't remember anymore. No. After now, it's important to note that Krebs again only pointed out the 2. He pointed out Ja and he pointed out Hosea White. The third guy was new, but you know, if he didn't come forward with the other 2 and then they caught him, it would have been way worse for him. So
This is Dalton Norman Dalton.
yeah.
Okay.
So after the court documents were released, we know a lot more information about more specifically him, but also the other 2. It turns out that Ja wrote the code for the botnet to do its business.
Good job. That's
Well-
good code.
While
You should get awarded for what you do good.
While Hosea White ran the bot's infrastructure and server, as well as designing the scanner that it would use to infect devices.
Also impressive.
And Norman, who, again, had not been called out by Krebs and was unknown until the court documents were released, had apparently been working with the 2 to help identify the zero-day exploits they used to attack all the devices that they infected. If you don't know what a zero-day exploit is, it's basically like the company who made the thing patched it out, but you don't update your shit, so it's an exploit that they can use for people who don't update their shit properly.
Update your stuff.
Yeah, but it's so annoying.
And they each received no jail time, 5 years
Wow.
probation, 2,500 hours of community service, and were fined $127,000 of restitution.
So when you say probation,
Technically, all they did was just hurt a couple login boys. They really didn't do that much.
does that mean like they weren't allowed to use computers, like in the movie Hackers, or is that totally?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
They're no longer allowed to play Minecraft.
maybe they like strictly monitored their internet. Like,
They probably.
well, I know that. Well, I know they did.
Well, they won't
They're
let him
still
get
monitoring
his
now.
daughter back.
But I just more mean
and then
like
John Travolta says, "Wait a second, I have a job for you, the world's most handsome hacker, Hugh Jackman."
what? The casting in that movie.
Wait, what movie is that?
Swordfish.
I never saw that movie.
I'm referencing the only 2 movies about hacking. Sorry, 3. Skyfall,
Yeah.
Swordfish.
I bet there's one clip from
hackers.
Swordfish that you've probably seen.
I have not. I know what you're talking about, though.
Paid a lot of money for that. I wonder if like authorities were like screen sharing his like like there's,
Yeah,
there's just an office somewhere.
They're just watching him. Lol, this guy's still doing this.
Yeah.
So, back to my original question from the beginning. We know that Paris Ja, Hosea White, and Dalton Norman created Mirai. But who used Mirai to bring down the internet on that October day? Well, I hate to break it to you, the podcast is over because the truth is we don't know.
No.
And we probably never will.
Those din perpetrators are still out there.
A lot of groups, including Anonymous, have tried to take credit for the attack. Others say that it was a gamer who was mad that he got banned from the PSN and tried to take down the PSN, accidentally taking down the whole internet. But what we do know is that Minecraft may have changed gaming as we know it, but it also flipped the cybersecurity world on its head and paved the way for the internet's biggest nuclear-level disaster to date.
Fuck yeah.
Well, second biggest nuclear-level disaster after Notch. Boom.
I was going to say, all because one guy decided, this world won't have sex with me. I'm going to build my own world.
Yeah, man, we went this whole episode without making fun of that
He's fat.
fat, racist, sexist idiot.
Let's not call
Is
him
he
fat.
racist?
That's his most redeeming quality. I know a lot of good fat
That's
people.
true.
Can we make fun of his candy wall or his choice of hat wear?
You don't have to. Notch makes fun of himself. That's why you
Yeah.
don't have to. You don't have to call him out.
But yeah, that's our story.
We
for
can still
today.
call him out for being a piece of shit.
Yes, no, that I meant we don't have to make jokes. That's crazy.
It's
That's
too
a crazy
easy, I guess.
story.
Yeah,
I like the whole. It feels very spy novel-y.
yeah, and I like the way you paste those reveals.
Yeah.
It's like listening to an Ocean's
so
movie.
Yeah.
all of my sources, there is a lot more incidental information. If
Yeah,
you're
I kinda
very,
wanna
if you're
read on
very
about
interested in it, all of our sources will be on our website, but the 2 articles I would like to call out specifically is a Wired article by Garrett M. Graff called How a Dorm Room Minecraft Scam Brought Down the Internet.
That's good.
And also Krebs' own blog, which I mentioned earlier, Krebs on Security, Who is Anna Senpai, the Mirai Worm author.
Cool.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's it.
right on.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate everybody listening.
Yes.
If you want to listen to more, we have a huge back catalog of episodes. We just got done doing all of our 3-part Game of the Year coverage on the
Yeah.
Game Awards.
Yes.
You can check that out and more at our website, hotbuttoncast.com. And on that website, you can find links to where to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Google Play,
Anywhere really.
iTunes, pretty much any podcast service. You can keep an eye on social media for any upcoming information we have about our podcast, and we share a bunch of funny clips and stuff on there. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast.
Yeah, we kind of realized that this is our last episode of the year, so this is the end of our 2019 kind of
Our
content.
first
and-
full year of podcasting.
yeah, and when we get into 2020, that means we'll have had, well, that wouldn't be 3 years, but
It'll be across 3 years.
yeah.
Yes.
But thank you, everybody, for keeping us doing what we're doing, and I think we got some exciting stuff coming in store. So
Yeah,
if
thanks
everything
a lot.
goes right.
It really means a lot. Obviously, we do this because it's fun, but it's cool to have people listen. And any feedback, don't be quiet. We'd
Yeah.
love to hear from you.
Please,
And thank you, Jason, sound guy,
Yes.
for helping us record.
all of his hard work.
Setting up and doing probably what I think is the best podcast editing in history. I think
It is so good.
anybody
That's why
who
I feel
does a
so
podcast
bad giving
and
him
listen to
shit.
this should hire him to do their work
Yes.
and pay him a lot of money because he deserves it. I guess
We're broke.
the only other thing we'd say is, you're right, closed out the year. We've looked at what we've learned and what we like about the show, what we don't like about the show, and ready to make some changes come the new year. So keep it out, keep it out. That's what we say over here. keep an eye out or an ear out because you can't see podcasts. It's an audio medium. And we'll be changing the format a little bit. We're not going to go too specifically, but our bigger stories might move to every other week. But that doesn't mean we're going to move to bi-weekly. We're still going to put out content every week.
Yes.
We just decided to do something new in the off weeks, and it's going to be really cool. And
This will give us more time to research the bigger stories and
make them more in depth. They'll have, not that we don't do a lot of work, but if we can be a little more relaxed about our deadlines, we can put in better work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the stuff we're putting out in the meantime will be not any less equitable. It'll be just as interesting,
Yeah.
just as cool, and I
It'll
hope
be
you
fun and
like
different.
what we do.
Cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't have the exact details of what that is going to be hammered out quite yet, but keep an eye on those social media, as I mentioned, because I'm sure once those details are hammered out or once those off-week things come out, you'll be able to see them through there. So,
We'll see you all in 2020.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.